everybody, we are live. So tonight I am going to be talking about objections, what happens when you get them, what they are, where they come from, how to deal with them, everything there is to talk about when it comes to objections. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is as you are reaching out to people and as you are posting about the opportunity, posting about your challenge groups, really starting to talk in person, in private, and in public about what you're doing, people are automatically going to have questions. They're going to have concerns. They're not going to 100% understand what you have to offer, and that's okay and 100% normal. So I want everyone to realize that that's just a part of the business. I get objections every single day. They do not mean that what you're saying is wrong or you're approaching it in a bad way. All it simply means is that person has some lingering questions, aren't at the right time in their life, so on and so on. So I'm going to share some slides with you guys so we get a better idea of exactly what I say in every situation. So I pulled these slides actually from examples of my recent conversations. So over the past 2 weeks, what I say to different kinds of objections, the most common objections, some things to remember first of all. As you are, trying to navigate your way through how to explain things in this business, how to explain coaching, what about coaching to talk about, how to word things, there's going to be some places in your business where it takes a little getting used to explaining something, or it takes a little getting used to dealing with a question. At first, if you have those questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your upline and say, hey, I got this question, I've only been a coach for a couple weeks, or, this is a little bit confusing to me. Can you help me figure out how to answer this? These slides should definitely be kept in your back pocket if you're feeling that way at first, to help you build that confidence in conversations. And then as time goes on, as you become more confident in the opportunity and in what you have to offer, then that kind of insecurity fades away. So some things to remember about objections. They're 100% normal. Objections don't mean anything about your opportunity, anything about you as a coach or a person or what you have to offer. Objections are people's way of protecting themselves from fear of failure, the unknown, putting themselves out there. Starting a new health and fitness journey can be a very personal thing for someone to agree to. So a lot of times it's very interesting when I talk to people, they will automatically build a wall up in front of them, aka objections, so that they either don't have to progress forward or can kind of block you off, right? So they are 100% normal. It happens to me 90% of the time. Eventually, as you build momentum and as you speak with more people, the more objections you get, the more challenge, the more I say, I accept this challenge, and the more that well builds up of consistency. And over time, however big it builds up, the people who are saying yes and the people who are at that right time in their life will add up and eventually be all of the people each month that are saying yes to your challenges or your coaching opportunity. The majority of responses you will get from people will be objections, or questions, or concerns, or common misconceptions. So we have to be kind of armed with the answer when we get those questions. It doesn't mean anything negative about what you have to offer. It's usually a defense mechanism. It is not a no. So 99% of the people, probably even on this team call, have said no one time or another. I said no twice to coaching. I followed my coach for about 6 months before I actually reached out to her. And then when she told me about the opportunity, I said, absolutely not. That costs too much. And look at me now. It's my full-time job. I am a top coach in the company, but I gave 2 objections. I gave 2 of them. So I bet you can think about when you first started hearing about the opportunity or first started talking to your coach, you had a million questions pop up in your head. You had a million fears, but you still needed to hear certain things to make that leap, and so do other people. Objections are a learning experience. Every single conversation that I've had over this past 4 years has definitely taught me one thing or another from each conversation. In the beginning, I used to get super discouraged by people who didn't want to start. And I used to say, well, nobody wants what I have to offer. I've offered it to everyone I know, which actually isn't true. But sometimes it can feel like that. Those people always teach me a lesson for the next conversation. So look at it as a learning experience. They're not something to give up over. Like I said, 90% of those people come back and say yes later on in the future, but it has to be the right time of life for those people. So let's jump right in. So the first one that I really want to talk about is I don't have the money. Probably our most popular objection ever, right? Everyone kind of has these views on money in our society. Like I could do a Instagram story about a pair of pants that I got from Lululemon, and people will run out and buy them for $135, yet starting a business and a new fitness regime for only $160 for the whole year is like, whoa, 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 I don't want to get better. I just want to buy some pants, right? So we can often have the job of helping people see the value and helping people understand that it's adding more to your life than it's taking away, and those other purchases are taking away from your life more than it's adding, right? So when someone says to me, I feel really comfortable answering this objection because this was my objection in the beginning. When I first started thinking about signing up as a coach and thinking about making the leap to take this journey, I didn't have any money. I didn't have $160, to put towards a new fitness program or a business that was sort of confusing to me. So I said right away, oh, that's too much, right? Before I looked into it, before I really saw, now I've made my investment back literally millions of times in the 4 years that I've been a coach, so it almost seems silly to me. But we're there to kind of bridge the gap between, okay, that's actually not true, here's the value of it. So here's kind of some of the things that I might say. I might break down the price for them. Hey girl, I totally get it. When I first signed up, I couldn't wrap my head around it either. Relating to the objection that that person has, right? Saying, I felt that way too. This kind of puts people at ease. Okay, I'm not an alien. I'm not feeling something that's totally off base. This person is super successful at this and they felt that way too. I'm gonna listen in. However, the value is insane and I didn't realize. You get 7,000 workouts of $1,500 value for an entire year. Our superfood shake works out to about $4 a day and you get all the nutrients you don't normally get. Support, accountability, meal plans, portion control containers, stuff that you would never get from a gym membership. I mean, in the long run, I definitely ended up saving money. So I always relate it to a gym membership or taking classes, something that's really common, right? Something that people have done, people have researched, people understand, and compare it to the value that you might get at something like that that's really comfortable, and then the value that you get with something like this. When you compare those two things, it's really interesting to see the light bulb moment happen. Oh, I never thought about it like that, or I never thought about maybe switching around some of those money things. The tough love, right? Have you ever talked to someone and they say, oh man, that's too much money. And then you see them out at a bar, out at dinner, but then they still are super unhappy with their body and unhappy with the way that their life is going. I would say something like, girl, I get it. I really do. But do you know how many times I spent $160 that gave me no value at all? Haha, shoes, clothes, nice at the bar. Now you have been thinking about this for 3 months now. So clearly it's on your mind. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee, bottom of the bag. So even if you drink the whole thing and love it, you can still send the whole bag back empty, free of charge. You gotta want to change more than you want to stay the same, right? Really tugging at that tough love. Personally, I feel like our job as a coach is to coach people, not be a cheerleader. Yes, of course, to provide inspiration and motivation and support, but mainly our job as a coach is to push people where they've never been pushed before, right? Get them results they've never gotten before. Get them going in a business that they've never done before. The worst case scenario response. Listen, I'm the same way, girl. When I first signed up, I didn't have 160 laying around either. Same tactic as above. I don't think anyone just does. However, I love listing out worst case scenarios. And the worst thing that can happen is I get access to some awesome programs, get some results, and make some new positive habits. Not too shabby for such a leap. If it doesn't work, then I send it back. There's no downfall. literally showcasing that in this business, there is no downfall. You can either be successful or you can have accountability, right? There's no failure. Stating the facts. Girl, did you even know how many times you would need to eat to get the value of this shake? It's not just a protein shake at all. It's a superfood shake. So because of air pollution, soil quality, contamination in the meat industry, we aren't getting half of the nutrients we used to be able to get from the same foods. That's what Shakeology does for you. I don't know any other shake around that gives these benefits. There's a really common misconception when it comes to Shakeology and the price. Because of where the ingredients are sourced, because of the whole food nature of them, the organic nature of them, people don't understand why it costs so much. There's over 70 ingredients sourced from all over the world. It is insane to be able to get that value in one bag shipped to your door that actually adds value to your daily nutrition intake that just really doesn't exist. Okay, the next one, when people say, oh, I don't have time to do that, or I'm too busy, right? Nowadays in our society, it's like sort of a badge of honor to say I'm too busy. Like, oh, I have all these priorities over this. I couldn't possibly think about doing something like that. That's a really, really common thing that people talk about. So I typically say, yeah, I totally felt that way too. When I first started, I was actually working 3 other jobs at about 15 hours a day. It was no joke, LOL. What do you feel like keeps you so busy? So basically, I will ask people, you know, what is it that you feel like keeps you so busy? And a lot of times people will come back and say, you know what? I think you're right. I think I just feel busy because I'm constantly moving around, right? And often when I make that personal comparison, they say, oh, wow, you know, she was able to build this on just a couple part-time jobs while still keeping things afloat. Number 2, such a common thing. I feel like we all do so many things nowadays, but one of the coolest things about this business is that it can be whatever you want it to be. Part-time, eventually full-time, side hustle, whatever. Most of the people on my team do this part-time to make some extra cash and stay in shape. Are those some things that interest you? You know, one of the things that Jim Rohn says, who's a really popular personal development book writer, is that he says part-time is sexy. Part-time is one of those things that people are really attracted to. You know, to start something part-time, you don't have to change your whole life and take a huge leap of faith and quit your job and all this monumental change. A side hustle means you can keep your life the way it is, keep the comfort that you have, and then possibly build something in your spare time that's also adding value to your life. That's a huge plus. So reminding people that it doesn't have to be a major life change. You know, this can be something that you're adding into your life to give back to you. Number 3, do you think you have about 30 minutes a day? That's all our workouts ever take. We've been chatting for about 40 so far, winky face, haha. I know when I looked at my day, I found a ton of time, but I never wanted to admit that before. You know, it's interesting. I think that people think that to be successful at a workout program or a fitness program or coaching, they think that you have to be working out or eating well 12 hours a day, which cracks me up. So I always like to tell them we have fitness programs that are 10 minutes, that are 15 minutes, that are 30 minutes. So it doesn't have to be a huge time commitment, letting them know what we have to offer. Girl, our workouts are 30 minutes a day. Don't give me that. Really that tough love response. Again, calling people out. Everyone has 30 minutes a day to get a workout in. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care what's going on in your life. You have 30 minutes a day. Time, it's the only thing we have, isn't it? Crazy when the day just restarts like a rat race. However, I found putting more time into this has given me more time later on down the road. Wouldn't it be crazy awesome if the cycle didn't have a chance to continue at all in your life? You know, some of the number 1 complaints that I get from people that I talk to, especially people who are, you know, interested in the coaching opportunity, and I've talked to them several times, is they say, my gosh, like, you know, I relate to your story so much. I really just was so sick of having this rat race of my life just recreate itself over and over and over again. But then when it comes time to actually make a commitment and actually purchase something, then they say, oh, well, you know what? I just really can't do that. And it always cracks me up because the solution to everything that they were kind of asking me about is right there in front of them. So I always like to remind them, You have to be willing to make a little sacrifice to get some change later on down the road. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let me see. I lost my slides. Hold on one second. Okay. Do I have to get the shake? Can I just do the workout? This one is super interesting because a lot of people who I talk to about a challenge group, they say, oh, I already eat healthy and I don't really need help with that, but I just really like the workouts. But the whole reason why coaching works or a challenge group works is because of the total package, because of the shake, because of the portion control containers, because of Beachbody On Demand, and because of the peer one-on-one support. If you don't have every single piece of the puzzle, that's where it can fall short. So I like to make that really clear to the people that I'm talking to. To answer your question about Shakeology, it's a must because you cannot recommend something that you don't personally know the value of. So this first one is something that I might say to a person who's interested in coaching who asks, do I need the shake, right? Fitness is obviously important, but nutrition plays a much larger role. And while in a perfect world, people would eat perfectly balanced meals and whole foods, the reality is the majority is as far from that as we possibly can and has a very difficult time making the switch to one extreme, the typical American diet, to the other, myself included, to be honest, because I am busy and meal prepping 3 to 5 times a day is not only time consuming, but pricey. Shakeology is my way of ensuring I am getting nutrients my body needs. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know one single person who is super busy who says, I'd rather meal prep 3 to 5 times per day and purchase all the things in Shakeology myself, right? And then kind of tying it back into a little relation at the end, I used to skip and then end up starving in a Wendy's drive-thru a few hours later, hashtag true story. Really relating some of your struggles to what they're going through. Number 2, I totally get that it seems expensive. It seemed expensive to me at first as well, until I broke it down what 30 of any of those healthy meals I would typically eat would cost and decided to give it a go for a month, and it actually saved me money on groceries. So typically when I'm drinking Shakeology, I tend to bring my shake if I'm going to leave the house, to save me from buying food outside of the house where I don't know how it's prepared, right? That, in the long run, in the first couple months as a coach, actually saved me money, right? I am not one to try and convince anyone. This is definitely key. We want to give everyone all of the details about what we have to offer and show them how it can possibly change their life, but you never want to try and drag people, right? You want to answer their objection and tell them actually what the facts are like, but then you never want to get caught in pulling people, because what happens is then you spend all the time when they're a challenger or a coach pulling them as well. So say that, right? I'm not one to try and convince anyone. It's not a business or a workout plan for everyone. And I understand if you don't feel it's right for you. I'm just passionate about finding the ones it is for and helping those people to successfully go down the same path I could have, right? Basically, our job as coaches is to literally just offer what we have every single day, and people either take it or they don't, and they come back and take it or they don't. And that's our job. Girl, would you sign up for a Jillian Michaels workout and say, can I only do half of what you recommend and get the same results as you? She would literally smack you. She's tough, LOL. You can't do 50% of it and get 100% results, because I've seen time and time again people not getting results because they aren't invested enough and ignoring the group totally unless they really have something they want to sink their teeth into. The last one, Shakeology is how we can guarantee results. I wouldn't want to bring you into a group and say, I can get you results with only half of what is required. That wouldn't be fair to either of us. I've seen a ton of times people come into groups and not be 100% there or not want to participate fully because they haven't committed either financially or emotionally. Like a lot of times people will tell me, oh, I have an old Insanity DVD stuck in my closet. Can I just use that program? And what I'll say to them, and this isn't on here, I should add this, is, a lot of times programs that we either bought a long time ago and didn't finish, or maybe we still have laying around, they carry an emotional weight. There is something, emotionally freeing and kind of jump-starting to purchase something new and put your hard-earned money where your mouth is. That is called having skin in the game. Okay, the ever popular someone read your message or previously committed and now entered the witness protection program. This happens probably, this is the #1 question I get from you guys on what to do, right? A lot of times someone will be answering your message, going back and forth with you, and then literally disappears from the face of the earth altogether. Here is what I do. Ask for some feedback. Take the pressure off of them. Say, hey, Becca, I can see you read my message but didn't respond and didn't really participate in the group you asked to be a part of. That's totally cool. I know it can be overwhelming. Maybe you could just let me know what I didn't explain correctly and can do better next time. I know coaching isn't for everyone, but it's my job, so I always want to get better at it. This one always helps me get a response because I'm taking the pressure off of them and just asking for some feedback from them. Secondly, I'd say, hey girl, I can see that you are no longer interested. No worries at all. I'll check back with you later on. Do you know anyone in your life that would actually be interested? Instead, asking for a follow-up, right? Letting them know you're gonna reach back out, but also starting their brain to think about, hey, do you know anybody else who might be interested? Barb, I know you said you really wanted to change and then I didn't hear from you. Are you still there? LOL, the hardest part is getting started. What's holding you back? What held me back? Fear, and now I kick myself for wasting so much time. You know, I always talk about how I followed my coach for 6+ months on social media before I actually committed, and that really speaks to a lot of people. It really tells them that, okay, a lot of people are weary about this, and some people can have like a rocky beginning like that and have some objections and still go on to be super successful. The rest of them, the ever popular, let me ask my husband, he might say no, and then they disappear. I typically say, okay, great. Do you have a time when you'll be able to ask him? I remember when I asked mine, and he would be more than happy to talk to yours for you. This just helps them kind of set an expectation in your conversation. So an expectation of when you're expecting them to reach out to their husband, so then you can check back at a certain time. But I'm an introvert. You guys, I'm an introvert too. I am not an outgoing, bubbly, 150% all the time person when I'm at home, when I'm in person. When I'm in the computer and I'm in my own space, that's when I come alive. So I often remind people, me too, I actually love this business because it's one of the few businesses where you can be behind your computer and still let your personality shine. Perfect for an introvert. But $15.95 per month to be a coach? Question mark, exclamation point, question mark. I say, yeah, that is for Beachbody to handle every single thing about your business. Customer service, shipping and handling, direct deposit, websites, links, returns, product development, you name it. All the things you would have to worry about as a business owner, it's already paid for. It's a steal. Even with this price, it's still cheaper to be a coach. That objection always cracks me up because I know I have so many friends who actually have started their own business, you know, apart from network marketing, apart from Beachbody, and the nightmare and the bear of having your own business and having to deal with all of those things on the side, in addition to inviting people and selling things and shipping them and customer service and developing product and getting them approved. Oh my gosh. I sometimes feel like I need to call Beachbody and say, do I owe you money because you're handling all these things for me? So those are my responses to every single kind of objection that I could think of that I'm getting lately that might come up in conversation for you. Remember, these are totally normal. Now you're armed with literally every response. Keep these somewhere where you know that they are. I will post them in the team page. They will be in the website self-paced training as well. So you can kind of reference them until you feel comfortable coming up with responses on your own. But that is all I have for tonight. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your night, and I'll talk to you soon.